Hey guys, Chatty coming to you from Florida. We're in Hollywood, Florida. Check out the view. We're in, I forgot the name. Andrea, what's the name? Diplomat Resort and Spa in Hollywood, Florida. Now, actually turn the camera on yourself. Like, let's see who I'm with. I'm with Andrea. Hey, Andrea. Hey. Did you have a great day?
Yeah, amazing day.
Awesome.
A lot of takeaways.
Awesome. Let's share some of these takeaways that we've had with our raving audience. So, like the first speaker, like this is quite raw. I'm just reading this straight out of my notebook as well. I'm really, really inspired. Now, firstly, like we spent $1,500 on each ticket to be here, to travel all the way from South America to Florida, United States. So that obviously costs a lot of money. The tickets cost a lot of money as well. So it's a 3-day event, 1,500 US each. And, you know, like we're here for a short amount of time, like I think 4 or 5 days in Florida, and then about 4 or 5 days in San Francisco for another event as well. So learning is incredibly important. Now, it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money, but you should actually value learning a lot. And speaking of learning, Kevin Harrington was the first speaker. So Kevin Harrington was, you know, one of the original sharks on Shark Tank United States of America. And he owns an infomercial business as well. But what I learned from him, or what he actually inspired me, I mean, he spoke about how the average lifespan of a Fortune 500 business about 1960s, 1970s was about 75 years. Now it's about 80% faster. He was talking about building a dream team. Surround yourself with coaches, mentors, finance and operational experts, utilize celebrities, digital advertising gurus, and so forth. Now, he got me to really think about what it is that I'm actually offering as well to my team, and also with the coaching business, that I'm more so in the business of creating leaders. More on that in one of our upcoming videos as well. It's really windy here, and that's why I've got this as well. Now, startups should spend about 20 to 40% of their revenue on marketing as well. They shouldn't be generating any profit, but they should just be marketing, marketing, marketing. Now, Tom Cummins, a great guy. He asked a lot of, you know, questions that really got me thinking as well. That what is it that I want for me and my life? This is the questions that he was asking the audience, because these were questions that he asked himself as well. Now, money is not the end game, it's just the scorecard. Create a super successful group. Paint a picture. What does 5 years look like? Now, what was my key takeaway from Tom Cummins? Like, he gave me a different way to actually think about my partnership with Andrea. Now, he said that, you know, he was the CEO of the company and that he's got the president, he builds the car, and his president is the one that drives it to win the races. So that actually got me thinking, like, you know, what is my role within my company, and my role with my partnership with Andrea as well. So, you know, I'm the person that likes to build the car, and I love for other people to actually win the races as well. That really resonated with me. And the other thing is, like, he creates the winning team. So again, this actually got me about my role within Blue Studies International as well. My role within the company is to really inspire my team members. I have to lead by example. I have to be the perfect role model for them, so they can see the standard that we want to set within our company. So then it can inspire them to take the relevant action and be the champions in their territory as well. Jack Giacontelli, this guy was full of energy. He owns a whole bunch of like car yards. He was really, really big on culture, which made me think, like, you know, obviously these car yards are in many, many different locations as well. But my key takeaway from him is he does not negotiate with his culture. He protects it with every single bit of energy that he actually has. And if one person chooses to compromise that, he does not shy away from getting rid of them from the team immediately. So I started to write down, you know, what are my non-negotiables for Blue Studies International? what are the values that we want to instill in all of our team members, and how are we going to reinforce that? So, I mean, I've always really been big on culture as well, but to have a guy who's probably generating about $150 million in revenue talk about the importance of certain things and, you know, the actions that he takes to protect his culture made me think of areas where I may potentially be weak. I mean, I am one of those people who loves my team. I care about the growth of my team members a lot. And so sometimes when people are not pulling their weight, they can be your friends, they can be family. And in these cases, like, you know, my team members are people that I love so much, and they've become family and close friends to me. But if they're not pulling their weight, it made me realize that I do actually have to make that really tough decision. Okay, so that's Jack and Telly. Bobby Castro. Look, I actually really enjoyed his conversation. I was really appreciative that he did attend as well, because at 3 p.m. he was actually flying out, and I think he was speaking at about 1 p.m. He spoke a little bit about value exchange to network, you know, going back to business fundamentals. Value, creating value is incredibly important, but my key takeaway from him was valuing your time, respecting the seconds. Now, he said if I want to make $1 million a year, that works out to $8.27 per week if I'm working 40 hours per week. And you know, so he said if you're sparing a second or a minute to talk to certain people or to take certain actions, is it really worth the $8.27 seconds that you are spending? Which, you know, because you're adding or quantifying, measuring your seconds in dollars, it really does get you actually thinking. Now, I've been thinking about my time as well, but I didn't really go down to the granular level and say $8.27, but he values his time at $50 per second, and he makes decisions according to that. And he really values his wife, because his wife values their time together. He values their time together as well. So he's basically instilled this in his personal life as well as his business life, which has basically allowed him to grow his business. I think he's worth like $200 million in net wealth. The other big thing from him was positive mental attitude as well, and what I'm going to be implementing in my business, morning huddles. You know, because sometimes you may have like a very positive team, you may have very positive team members, you yourself may, but like, you know, be generally positive, but everyone wakes up at times and says, you know what, today I'm feeling a little bit rusty, I'm feeling a little bit off. So, you know, if you have the support of your team members, or if your team members have the support of you, I mean, you're all part of a team. What you can incorporate, and this is something that I'll be doing at Blue Studies as well, is a morning huddle. So then we can get everybody into the right mind frame. So then they can make sure that they're speaking to the clients with the energy level that's required to really pump them up. They're speaking to other team members as well to make sure that the positive mental attitude and the energy and the strength is carried throughout the day. So that's really, really important as well. Okay, so then we heard the panel speak. That was really cool as well. You know, Bobby said that he spends a considerable amount of time. Now, if I heard this correctly, he said that he spends 50% of his time training his team, which is awesome. You know, that starts to get me to think of, like, you know, what I can be doing in my own company as well, and how I can incorporate more training, how I can actually get people more engaged, how I can reinforce certain core values of the company, the culture. They also spoke about, you know, again, like, you know, making that tough decision of getting rid of team members as well. So I was actually quite surprised to hear that, you know, Jack and Telly was really big on, you know, saying that his team members, he does look at them on a cost level as well, because if they're not profitable, they have to actually go. Look, that is a harsh perspective. Like, you know, back on the topic of what I was actually saying earlier about getting rid of people, this is where my soft side comes out. These people are like family to me. They're friends to me. But to hear such big guys saying, you know, like challenging my beliefs on this, it does make me think, okay, I've got to, you know, add more clarity around the goals that I'm setting for each role within the company. So if they're not meeting those goals, then they will be the ones who are ultimately deselecting themselves. Or if the time comes where I actually have to sit down and speak to them, they already know what that conversation is going to be about. So that, like, I'm making it more soft, but that's what I thought that I would implement in my company as well. All right, Brad Lee. Now, this is a guy who has been grinding for 17 years to get to a position where he's turning over $150 million a year. He talked a lot about taking chances. So if you're thinking or sitting on the fence, action precedes, or what am I trying to say? Like action is key. You know, don't spend a lot of your time thinking about what you could be doing when you could just be taking action and making the relevant tweaks to get to the outcome that you desire, which at the end of the day is success. If you want $1 million, solve 1 million problems. There is no key to success. It's a combination. And never stop. Create a culture of learning. Demand that a team trains. Like, that's one common theme that I saw among the guys that spoke on day one. Like, so much emphasis on training and how to incorporate this training. We already do a lot of training in our company, but it makes me believe that it's not enough. I could always be doing a lot more. If I'm going to have a champions factory, I want to make sure that these guys are getting the training that they need to become elite athletes, champions. And there's always something that I could be doing more of, and I'm always studying, learning, speaking to the relevant people. What are the big guys actually doing that I could be doing to create more champions, bigger champions, more successful champions within my own company as well? Get really good at solving problems. The more you learn, the more you earn. So yeah, Victor Antonio, he's more about business to business sales, but he basically provided a go-to market strategy, which I thought was really, really valuable as well. Now, my key takeaways from him were that if you don't have the money to create your sales team, direct sales, hire someone, sales representative to go out and do the sales for you, you can basically leverage from what's already out there. So there could be people, or businesses out there that are selling, a similar product or a different product, a complementary product to you, to the same market. So just like, the hi-fi set that you may have at home, like the speakers and so forth, you can bundle that up and create a much more valuable product and sell that to the same market. He said you can look for those types of opportunities as well. I thought that was really, really cool. Like, you do think about these things, but he really systemizes that in a way which actually gets you to really think about, like, the different types of people that you can actually sell to, the companies, the sales channels that you can actually use to take advantage of that. Talks about a value-added reseller as well. Direct sales, distributors, online. Now, the other key takeaway that I had from him is it's not about the price, it's about the value. So if people are not buying from you, okay, that there's a good chance that, wait, let me just see exactly what he wrote. He said 20%, okay, so you win 40% of the sales, you lose 60%. Now, he broke that 60% down as well, okay, and like why we should not really focus or dwell too much on the 60%. But when he surveyed these people, he said 20% go to competitors and 40% are making a no decision to actually purchase. And 10% of the 40% is because of the price, and 30%, 10% was on the price and 30% was on no decision. Why? Because you didn't quantify the value for them. So it's not on the price. You should never focus on the price. That exercise was more about really focusing on the value that you actually provide to your market as well. And at the end of the day, what do people want? They want to increase their revenue, reduce their cost, and expand their market share. It's not what you sell to them, it's how you sell to them. So that was pretty cool as well. Next guy, Andy Frisella. He sells supplements. He was actually really, really cool. My key takeaway from him is customer experience. Now, a lot of people go out there and spend all this money on ads to generate clients. But, 20% of your marketing I mean, 20% of the people buy because of the ads that they actually see, whereas 80% are buying because of word of mouth. There's instant trust that's embedded within word of mouth that you don't get through ads. So he was very, very big on customer experience as well. His team went as far as changing oils for their clients. I mean, we're talking about a supplement company, vitamins and, you know, all the other supplements that, you know, proteins and so forth that people take when they're going to the gym. But when you hear about how far he's actually gone, it makes you realize how far you could actually go. Because if people are changing oils for their clients or, you know, dropping them off at home, you think to yourself, well, geez, like, am I just giving them a printed thank you card when I could be, you know, giving them a written, handwritten thank you card, thanking them for their business and providing them with enough of a customer experience that's so remarkable that's going to make them want to post about their experience on social media and share it with all of their friends. And he said that he was in the business of customer acquisition and customer loyalty as well. So that got me really thinking about what we can do and incorporate within Blue Studies International as well. And the other thing is, like, you know, if he were to go back in time and start all over again, because he's, you know, grinded, I mean, he's a 37-year-old guy, but I think he's been grinding for like ever since he was 14. But he said he would get more focused as well. You know, I'm focused within Blue Studies International and what we're actually doing. But, you know, having a guy talk about, you know, getting to that level that he's in, he's doing $150 million in sales as well, but focusing is, you know, paramount. It's something that you could always be doing more of in your company. The last speaker, Damon John, like from Shark Tank. This guy's huge, and he got one hell of an intro. It was really, really inspiring, just the intro alone. And, like, you know, in that intro video, you see him talking to the Kardashians, Obama, Oprah, and like a number of other really big people on this planet. I can't believe I actually said Kardashian first. Ugh. But, you know, you kind of get what I'm talking about here. Like, the guy's actually big, and he's pulling some key people on this planet who can actually help get his message out there. You know, I mean, initially his audience was all about hip hop and, you know, like R&B scene, but more hip hop scene. But, like, you know, through Shark Tank, he was able to reach a more mainstream audience. And now it's more about, like, actually helping people succeed, which is really, really cool. I love that. You know, the key to success is to educate yourself every single day. Now, like, big message. I mean, a lot of people, you know, think about yourself right now. What percentage of your week is actually spent on educating yourself? Now, again, a common theme among all of these people that actually spoke today was really focusing on educating yourself as well. Now, my key takeaway from him is that he actually did not give away any of his company in the early days. Like, instead, he thought about how he can actually leverage his company. So if he didn't have access to funding or funds, he didn't say, I'll raise 100 grand and give 15% of my company. He actually thought, well, these guys are ordering 50,000 units of t-shirts, and I need to give my supplier, you know, like the money for 50,000 units of t-shirts so I can deliver it to these guys. Now, he thought, okay, I can speak to my supplier, and rather than pay them $6, I can just increase the price to $7.50, so then they can, you know, supply the funding that I need to actually get the units across to the guys that are actually buying it as well. Thinking outside the box just to grow big as well. That was really, really cool. And the other question, you know, he said, well, what are the mistakes that you've made that will help, like if you were to go back in time, how would you correct these mistakes? He spoke of 3, analysis paralysis. Again, like, timing will never be perfect. He said act, learn, repeat, which was really cool. And he said that, you know, set the goals and be obsessed about your own goals. Don't let other people set your goals for you. Now, this is one of my takeaways, but he said a lot of people aren't honest with themselves. So in 2 to 5 words, describe yourself. What do you represent? So if you understand this about yourself and you are honest with yourself, then rather than walk into a room and have these people judge you and say, okay, well, these are the words that represent Chad, you know, you can actually be very honest with yourself and say, these are the words that I would use to describe myself, and you can use those words to dictate your behavior in business and in personal, in social media and so forth. So that got me really, really thinking as well. So much so that I've actually written a whole bunch of notes, which over time will be shared with you through videos like this. For now, thank you so much for listening. Over and out.